We have details from last night's town council meeting on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Friday, September 4th, 2015. I'm Sarah Mannel. Single-use plastic bags will soon be banned in the town of Barnstable. The council voted 7-6 in favor of the ban. Councillor Paul Hebert urged the council to support the ban before the vote.
I am sponsoring this ordinance because I believe, as a marine community, we have a special responsibility to reduce the harmful impacts of single-use plastic bags. We know these bags contribute to the deaths of many forms of marine life, and they are one of the most prevalent pieces of trash found on beaches worldwide, including our beaches. Because of their inherent properties, they float through the air, make their way into rivers and streams, and eventually into the ocean, where they degrade into smaller and smaller pieces, which are consumed by fish and end up as part of the great garbage patches floating in the world's oceans. Recycling plastic bags is not the answer. The evidence suggests that less than 10% of single-use plastic bags are recycled, and the bags frequently cause problems and equipment breakdowns in recycling facilities. We know this ordinance will not completely solve our litter issues, but it will eliminate the airborne trash that is the source of so many problems.
Single-use plastic bags will be phased out in the town of Barnstable over the next 12 months. The ban will exclude single-use bags used to package fruits and vegetables, meat, and cut flowers. The Town Manager Search Committee recommends Town Council utilize an outside consulting firm to lead the search for the next town manager. Chair of the Town Manager Search Committee, Eric Steinhilber, presented the committee's recommendations during last night's meeting.
The committee voted to recommend to the Town Council that any town manager search be conducted with the assistance of an outside consultant, similar to the Camp Committee's recommendation. In addition, the committee recommends a global search that would also include internal candidates. The committee felt that we owe it to the people of Barnstable to not only have an open process, but to also cast a wide net to make sure we have the best of the best to consider for the town manager position. The committee also felt strongly that we should send a letter to the current town manager and current assistant town manager, informing them of our recommendation, and that if they had interest, we highly recommended they take part in the process going forward. As chair, I was directed to draft that letter, and it was sent through the town council office and hand-delivered to the town manager's office on August 21st. I subsequently did receive acknowledgement of receipt of that letter from the assistant town manager. I will read this letter. It was the same letter to both. Letters dated August 21st. On behalf of the Town Manager Search Subcommittee, I wanted to inform you that the committee voted last night to recommend to the Town Council that any town manager search process should be conducted with the assistance of an outside consultant and should consider both internal and external candidates. The committee is committed to an open and transparent process, as well as performing our due diligence for the citizens of Barnstable, which we serve. The committee also wishes to express our sincere, continued appreciation of your service and leadership for our town, and should you have interest in the position, we highly recommend that you submit your CV for consideration and participate in any process going forward. Sincerely, Eric Steinhilber, Chairman.
The committee presentation sparked a heated discussion among councilors. Town Councilor Fred Chirigotis had some tough questions for the committee leaders.
Number one, where did we get the determination that we need to change the management team? Let me ask a bunch and you can ask them all. When was it determined that to change that management team, we should be looking outside of the town of Barnstable, since we've always had or at least always operated under a comprehensive management succession program where we've hired people, we train them, we educate them, we give them the experience that they need, and we move people into positions. I don't get how we're talking about a worldwide search to find the best of the best when actually we have the best of the best right here in the town of Barnstable as we look at recent evaluations that have been done by this council. So I'm troubled by that. HR has suggested that they could do an internal search. But you've indicated that you're looking for an outside consultant, and you indicated that that would be necessary when we do an outside search. So I'm troubled by that also. So I want to know what is the impetus for changing the management team that we have in place right now, and I want to know whether or not the consideration has been given with regard to the impact on all of our directors and managers in the town once that management team is changed.
Chair of the Town Manager Search Committee, Eric Steinhilber, stood by the committee's recommendations.
Just taking a step back, I mean, this is a look at best practices. It's not about any individuals. It's about best practices if there's to be a search. We know there's a contract expiring in June. HR has informed us that you need 12 to 18 months to perform a search. So we're operating in an open and transparent way to go through what is going to be the best practices going forward. You know, the committee felt that to know for sure you have the best of the best, that you cast a wide net, because otherwise you wouldn't know. And if we have the best of the best, and we happen to have internal candidates who are interested, they've been recommended to please join the process, make their intention known, and they would rise to the top if they are the best of the best. So I'm looking at this as a very open process, very transparent. There's no mysteries here. It's about best practices and doing our due diligence for the people of Barnstable.
Town Councilor Jen Cullum also addressed the issue, saying having a town manager that is tied to the community is extremely important.
Well, I will say that, you know, I really enjoy living in a town where I can walk into the town manager's office and shake his hand, and I know him, and I know where he lives, and I know he's worked for the town for a long time, and I know the assistant town manager has kids in the schools where my kid goes to school. And I really enjoy that it's a human process and not such a sterile process. So I do have an issue with, you know, going global and, you know, letting corporate America just kind of shuffle through it all. And ta-da, we have Mr. So-and-so from Colorado Springs who's going to come in here and tell us about our single source aquifer. And, you know, whether or not the search would, well, and also, you know, Fred has a very good point about pitting town manager against assistant town manager. I mean, that is, it's uncomfortable. I have some issues with it. I really do. I feel like it's why couldn't we walk across the hall, knock on the door and say, do you want a contract extension? Why are we sitting here waiting for him to come to us when we are part and parcel of the entire process ourselves? If I were, when I owned my business, I would talk to my employees, and my employees would talk to me. I think the communication is what we need, and I really enjoy the small town element that we have here in Barnstable, honestly, and I don't really want somebody from Rhode Island coming in here and telling me about my dog license even, or whatever. I feel like we need local people, you know, and so, you know, maybe everybody shuffles their CV in and maybe we choose somebody local. I don't know, I'm not comfortable with the process. I feel like we are more than just Tom's boss. We are his neighbors. We are his friends. And I think we owe him more than that. I think we owe him more than a letter, Eric. I really do. You know, I think we should have more communication. And it speaks volumes to me that the committee that reviewed his performance came with such a favorable review, but yet we're pushing this envelope. I'm not comfortable with it. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll have more questions that I can come up with later, but at this point I don't feel good about that. Just on a professional level, I feel like it's lousy, so sorry.
Ultimately, the council voted 8-5 in favor of conducting a global search for a town manager utilizing an outside search firm. Councilors Shiragotis, Cullum, Dagwan, Hebert, and Tinsley all voted against that measure. Barnstable Town Council also gave the nod to the creation of a new Water Resources Advisory Committee and approved a ban on synthetic marijuana. You can watch the Town Council meeting in its entirety on the town's website. We'll be sure to tune in to our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning, weekdays at 7 a.m. There will be no show Monday due to the holiday. However, Tuesday we will be back in action. We'll be chatting with Police Chief Paul McDonald. We'll talk with DPW Director Dan Santos. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mannel.